Hi everyone and welcome back to our online multiplayer lobby series. In the first episode I showcased to you how to do the basic setup with the game mode and player controller and explained a few things there. We're now going to handle the transition from the lobby screen over to the actual game screen. So let's jump in and take a look at how we achieve this. So we'll be going into our game mode lobby, and we also want to bring up the controller, and we'll also bring up our widget. So we're going to make a button here that takes us to the new map. So let me just go find a button that we can use. And I'm just going to put that in the bottom corner there. And let's just add some offsets to its size over there. And some text here to say, go to game or something like that. Start game, we'll call it. So our button here, just do size to the content. There we go. Okay, so basic button. What we're going to do is make it so that when we click on it, it takes us to the next game using a server travel. So that allows you seamless travel to communicate between the two maps. So let's set up our buttons on clicked event. And on the on clicked, we want to do execute console command. And we need to do this because we need to do a travel to a map, but with the specify it's going to be a server travel. That way, that anyone who's been told to listen to this server will follow along with them to that new map. So just do server travel, and then you want to, after that, put the path name of the map you want to travel to. So in my case, I want to go to the variant shooter map, this one here. Now all you got to do is right click on this one, and you're going to get the object path, and then we're going to paste that into here. Now, everything is fine in here. We just need to get rid of the last full stop and the name again. Don't need that. So you can just delete that. Okay. So server travel and then just the location of the map. Hit compile and save. Now we want to make sure our game mode for the lobby and the game mode for the game are set to make use of seamless travel. So over here I've got use seamless travel turned on. And I want to make sure that my game mode for the shooter is also turned up on as well. So use seamless travel, turn on there. Okay, so let's test that out now. We should see two screens come up with the two names. Perfect. And then the server can click the button, and it should take both the client and the server to that new map. Just give it a second to do that. Okay, there's the server and there's the client following suit. Okay, perfect. Okay, so a few things you're going to notice when you do this is that our controllers won't work now. Okay, so the reason why it can't move yet is because currently in our lobby we were playing in the game mode of UI, but now we want to change that to the game mode into game input mode, sorry. So we're going to go to the variant shooters controller, and I'm just going to add it to here. I'll add mapping context. We'll set input mode to game only, and the player controller will be self. Compile and save that. So test that again. And there's our two players. Hit start game. And off they go. Okay, there's a client moving. And if I take control of the server, there's a server moving. Awesome. Okay. By the way, let's have a look at what these errors are. So that's because I put empty ones in there at the start. And they have no assigned player state. So what I'm just going to do to get rid of that for that brief moment is just right click on this, assign player state, and make it a validated get. That way, I won't get that error. Okay, so that will make us work and go into that new map there just fine. So what is actually happening? Well, lots of things are going across to the new game. We want to bring across lots of information about the player over to that new game too. But how do we do that? Well, we need to copy the properties over from the player state to the new player state. You can't do it inside of the player controller. There is a way around that. We'll get to that in a second. But the main thing I want to show you is the player state. So if I go ahead and go to my lobby area and create a new blueprint class and search for player state, set that, PS lobby. And in PS lobby, we are gonna have it copy the properties over across to the new game. So anything the player changes in the lobby will get taken over. So let's say, for example, we make a simple input for the player to record something. So let's say they're going to change their name. Okay, so let's go ahead and showcase that information on the lobby. And I'll make another button, duplicate that, and we'll just put it at -300 there. And I'll just tell it to say change name. Okay, so however you want to do this sort of name changing, or even like a lobby setup where you are picking a loadout or character, same deal. We want to pass information across here. So we need to input, first of all, something on here when we click this button. So I'm just going to make another widget. And we'll do W name change like this. And we're going to do a very simple widget. I'm putting a blur. And the blur, I'm going to set to a size of 5. And put a border in. And I'll make this border here black and center aligned. Inside the border, we're going to have a editable text. So we're going to do a text box. So not this one, this one. Okay. So we're going to just drag that into the border. And there it is. And we're just going to make it have a default size. So I'm going to wrap that with a size box. And do a width of, I don't know, 500. Sure. And let's add some padding around it, make it look a bit more presentable. There we go. Okay, so when this comes up, we want the player to type in a name. So this editable text box, we're going to go to the graph of this thing, and you'll see there's 2 events you can have for editable text. You can have on text changed and when text is committed. We're going to do text committed. When the text is committed, I want to pass that through to the player state. So I need to get the player state. And from the player state, I need to set a variable. Now, at the moment, we need to just cast to our PS lobby. Like this. And on the PS lobby, we need to have a variable in here for chosen name or nickname the player has chosen for themselves. So I'm going to put that as a text value there. Okay, so when nickname is a variable on our PS lobby, our widget for name change is going to access the PS lobby, set nickname to the text that's part of the text box. When it's achieved that, we're then going to remove this widget from parent. Okay, so that will go across to there. Now, to use your player state, you need to assign it to your game mode. So you just go to our game mode lobby and go to player state and choose our PS lobby like this. So I've gotten this far and I haven't actually said what a player state actually is. So a player state is assigned to each controller. Everyone inside your game, client, server, everyone can see each other's player states. They can't see each other's player controllers, but they can see their player states, meaning that any information you want to be shared across other players, such as a nickname, you want to be put onto the player state. So you may also put things like score, chosen player character, loadout, whatever you want to do, you put on that. So that's what that does. Now, the player state has a unique ability when it is doing server travel to copy the properties from its old existing player state and pass it on to the new one. So the new one is handled by going into overriding the copy properties. This is the function that gets called when you travel to the new server and new room, sorry. And this gives you the new player state here. meaning we can pass stuff into it. Now, what I'd recommend when you're doing stuff like nickname and loadouts is to make a interface to handle this for you. Makes it a little bit more streamlined and a bit more straightforward. So we're going to go into Blueprint interface, BPI, and we'll do player information. And we're going to have one in here saying get nickname. That's going to have an output for text. And we're going to have set nickname. That's going to have an input of text. We're going to use that interface on both of our player states. So let's go to our player state for the lobby, go to class settings, in inherited interfaces. We're going to use BPI player information. And we're going to go to our other game mode. So let's go to variant shooter, blueprints, and there's our other game mode. We also want to have a player state for this as well, because it doesn't have one. So let's make one. Player state. And we'll do arena. That'll do. Oh, they call it shooter. I'll make it, just call it shooter. So it matches the player state shooter. And I'm going to set their game mode to use it. So player state shooter. Close that. And I can go to my player state shooter here and add that interface to it as well. So back to class settings, interfaces, BPI player information. And here we have set nickname and get nickname. So on set nickname, we're going to double click on this. I'm just going to promote this to a variable nickname. And on get nickname, we're just going to plug that variable into nickname. On the PS lobby, same deal. Set nickname. We're going to set it to the variable we've got. And get nickname, we're going to send it that way. So exactly the same. That does mean though, that because I've got an interfaces, I can go to the name change. I don't have to cast anymore. I just grab from the player state and do set nickname. Like this. Oh. Like that. Okay. So that will go across, and then the player state for the lobby, when it does copy properties, up here, I'm going to get a new player state here and do set nickname. And I'm going to set that nickname to the one that's here. Okay, so now to test this out. What I'm going to do is on my player state for the shooter, on the event graph, I'm just going to make it tick out here a print string of the player's name. So nickname, get, plug that into there. Okay. So this copy properties now will take over and put the nickname over into our new player state. Now, in order for us to test this out, we need to do a few basic, we'll do some print strings for now. So I'm going to tick this with a print string. And we're going to put in our nickname. And I'll make that, yeah, I'll leave it as blue. Change it down to 0 there. Okay. And then I want to go to the other player state for the shooter. And this nickname value, we're going to tick print that out as well. And just to show it's different, I'm going to change the color of it. We'll do more of a ready orange color there, and 0 seconds again. Okay, so in order for this to work, seamless travel only really works as it should when you're testing in standalone. If you're testing in plain editor, it's not going to work. So make sure when you go in here, you choose standalone game to get this to work as it should. So let's test it out and wait for that to pop up. And any second now, there's our server, our client. Just wait for them to come in before we start doing anything. There we go. So I'm going to go to change name, type in my new name, Ryan. It's going to print out my name here. I'm going to hit start game. Now server travel everyone across, and it should now start printing the name out again, but this time, as you see, in a different color. Okay. So now we have our player state being able to copy information from one player state to another player state. And this same concept can be done with loadouts, which we'll probably do a video on as well before this series is ended. But you can do anything you want while transferring stuff across. Don't forget, you do need to test it in standalone in order for this to work as expected. So in the next episode, we saw the nickname there appearing as a print string. We now want to improve that by actually making it replicated. At the moment, it's not replicated, it's just changing it on our local machine. We need that replicate so everyone can see our name change. So you can watch the next episode right now over on patreon.com/Ryan Laley, where you can find all our videos early from just $1 a month. A massive thank you to all our patrons and YouTube members for their continued support in the channel. Thank you for watching, make sure you're subscribed, and I'll see you all in the next episode. Bye for now.